Welcome to Chapter 15, which is called Windows Under the Hood. First thing you need to know about Windows is it uses a registry, and the registry is a huge database that contains everything about your PC. It includes information on the hardware, the network information, software configuration, user preferences, file types, and lots of other things. To edit the registry, which you can never do, you would use a program called either EDT32 or regedit, depending on the version of Windows that you have. You would select the subkey out of the 5 root keys, and then you could adjust the value of that subkey, or possibly the subkey or the subkey. The registry is organized into a tree structure with 5 root keys. The root keys are H key classes root, H key current user, H key users, H key local machine, and H key current config. Root keys are divided up into subkeys, which then have values. In the regeditor, the root keys and the subkeys would be listed on the left, and the values would be listed on the right. Now we come to the boot process. Windows XP was the last version of Windows to use the NT loader boot process. Windows 7, Vista 7 and 8, if I'm not mistaken, used the Windows Boot Manager. The process in XP used to be, I did the power on self-test, found the master boot record, did the bootloader, and then loaded NT LDR, NT loader, which then loaded the operating system. Under Vista on Windows 7, the firmware boot, which is the post part, then runs right into Boot Manager, which then finds all the information for Windows startup. So it's a little bit different process. When a program is run, it is loaded into RAM as a process. The CPU reads the process, which then tells the CPU which part of the codes need to be run. There is an entire class of processes that run invisibly and in the background, which provide necessary support roles and are called services. Windows Task Manager is the one-stop shop for anything related to applications, processes, and services. You can get there using keyboard shortcut, the Control-Shift-Escape, or the Control-Alt-Delete, and then choosing Task Manager. In the past, when you had a taskbar at the bottom, you could right-click on it and also get to it. Well, first of all, the Applications tab usually lists every application you have running. And then the Processes tab will list individual executable programs that are running with those applications. And you can actually end processes or end process trees right at this point to shut things down. You can also find the executable associated with the process. You can set priority and affinity, and you can see associated services. The Performance tab shows you CPU usage, memory usage, and size of a disk cache. Gives you a little bit more information there, what's going on. You sometimes also have a Services tab, depending on the version of Windows you're using, but the best way to manage services is to use the Services Control Panel in Control Panel. This allows you not only to see what's started and whatnot, but you can actually set the startup type to automatic or manual or disabled completely. The Performance console allows you to create logs that track CPU, memory, and other resources and what they use over time. You can run it from the Administrative Tools control panel. If you remember, the Administrative Tools was an MMC. The Performance Monitor can gather real-time data on objects such as memory, physical disk, processor, and network. Uses this data as a line graph, a histogram, or a report. Performance, logs, and alerts snap-in enables Windows to create a written record of anything that happens on a system. So you will have to put that snap-in in. One programmer tool that you want to be aware of, even if you're not a programmer, is ODBC. This is what ODBC Data Source Administrator looks like. ODBC stands for Open Database Connectivity. It's a standard API, which means it is a program that operates between, say, hardware and other programs. It allows any application or database that uses it to be ported to any platform, meaning Linux, Mac, PC, with very few changes in the code. Using ODBC, a third-party program can locate and query any ODBC-compatible database, which makes it sort of non-specific. A data source administrator, the data source administrator is Microsoft's tool to create and manage database entries that point ODBC to a database. So if for some reason you have a SQL database somebody needs to access or query, you can use the data source administrator with ODBC to point any third-party program to that database. And remember, keep calm and document everything.